Hello there, and in this video I'm going to give you a little bit of an update on all the vehicles in the fleet and how they're doing, and I'll also let you know what's coming to the channel in 2025. Okay, well, we'll start with the vehicles that are outside in the cold. We'll begin with the XC60. So this returned to my usage as a daily driver back in October, and it's been performing very, very well. One of the things that happened to it, if you haven't seen already, it was actually road tested by Hubnuts. I'll include a little thumbnail previewy thing there of his road test of it. I quite enjoyed that and quite enjoyed seeing my car through somebody else's eyes. In terms of how it's performing in general, it's doing very, very well. I did have to spend a bit on it when I first got it back. Put 4 brand new Michelin Cross Climate 2 tyres on it, which I'm very, very pleased with. Very, very quiet, excellent grip in the wet. And although I haven't really tested them in anger in the snow, I'm sure that they would perform well. I've also had some brand new rear discs and pads fitted, because they were getting really, really towards the end of their life. And then obviously you saw recently that I put a video out about the auxiliary belt. Now, one of the things that somebody asked me in the comments after that video was, would I put out a P3 buyer's guide? And that is certainly something I do plan to do in the new year. So keep an eye out for that one, because there are things, they are fairly reliable cars, but there are definitely things that you do need to watch out for. In terms of jobs to do to it, because, you know, with me, there's always a job to do. I'm detecting a few little strange bits of behaviour that make me think that the clutch packs in the Haldex are binding, or if the pump is supplying excess pressure, which can happen when they get worn. Unfortunately, these suffer from the nonsense of sealed for life on the Haldex fluid, and that's really not the way you want to do it at all. I had the Haldex serviced when I very, very first got the car, and I'll include a picture or a clip of a video of what that looks like now. And like I say, that was 40k ago. And when I spoke to Leanne at Whiteland Restorations about their Yeti, I think Leanne said they do it either every service or every other service. And it's exactly the same Haldex 5 system that they have on the Yeti. So that will be a video that will come later on in the year where I'll do a service on it. And I think because there is a cost, but it's not too much, I will most likely replace the pump as well. Another thing that's cropped up on it fairly recently is that I've noticed that this driver's side door mirror no longer folds in electronically, and I've also spotted that this heating element doesn't work. When I did a code scan on the car, there are actually codes related to wiring and communication faults with both of these, so I'm going to have a little bit of wiring investigation to do to see if I can suss out what that problem is and why that's not working. But that'll be something else that will be coming on this car in the not too distant future. And then finally, as I think I alluded to in the video when I first got this back, these headlights are starting to degrade, so I need to see if I can do something about that. They're beyond just polishing every time, because it's been done and you can probably already see that boundary where the coating's starting to come off. So these really need sanding back and 2K clearing properly, which is something I will do perhaps in the spring. I think now's the wrong time of year to be messing around with them, because we're going to go through lots of frost cycles and things. But yeah, overall, very, very happy with the XC60. Very glad I've got it back to my day-to-day usage, and hopefully it will continue to behave. In terms of the £500 XC90, you may have seen recently I put the video out about doing the rear subframe bushing. I have subsequently fitted right-hand drive headlights to it as well. They were a bit of a bargain, so I'm quite pleased with those. And then the remaining job that needs to be done prior to the MOT is both wishbones, and I'm going to replace the ball joint on that side because the dust cover doesn't look great. There is other work that does need to be done after that, but it's not strictly necessary for the MOT. So I think I'm going to just get those items out of the way and then see if I can start using it on a regular basis. The key jobs that are going to follow on this after I've got an MOT on the vehicle are going to be replacing the timing belt and doing all the engine mounts, because the vacuum engine mounts front and rear aren't in a very good state, and I actually think that's what's causing the occasional limp home mode problems that I'm seeing in it. The other thing I need to investigate is this is getting quite damp. I mean, it has stood around, it's not been driven much, well, it hasn't been driven at all since it failed its MOT. And I noticed the other day I'd got mould on the inside of the car, and a lot of moisture on the inside of the windscreen, so I am wondering whether I've got some form of sealing problem to deal with up there. But like I say, those will be the immediate jobs that I need to crack on with this car, as well as then doing a bit more of a in-depth detail and clean up of the interior. And then just hopefully put some miles on it and try and enjoy it, because it's a bit daft really. At the moment I've got it, I've still got it insured and I've still got it taxed, but I don't think it's had an MOT since November. So I really do need to crack on with that. In terms of the last MOT item, which is the suspension arms, I'm at the moment flip-flopping between doing that myself or farming that out. And to be honest with you, as much as I want the experience of doing it myself, I think with it being the start of January, the weather's not very nice. I mean, we've had either rain or frost every single day. I might just speak to my local guy, because I've already got the parts. I might just speak to my local guy and just get those arms done, because as soon as those arms are on it, it's rolling again and I can do stuff with it. I am also concerned about doing a job that requires ideally both sides of the car to be up on axle stands on such a sloped driveway. I'm not too bothered about jacking a car up on an individual corner and working on stuff, but this slope does present challenges in terms of being able to work safely. So again, it's just something I've got to consider. Oh, and there is one more other thing I noticed in a video that won't yet be out. I think I've got an oil leak either around the glow plugs or over the exhaust manifold or somewhere, because when I started it up the other day, it did this. Oh, let's say, that's not good. So yeah, need to investigate that and find out where that's coming from. But like I say, that's where we are with the XC90. Hopefully, I should be able to roll it around a little bit and make some use of it over the winter, because really, I mean, I've got a lot of stuff to do on the house, and this would be the ideal tip run car, so I really do need to try and get it sorted. Now, the other member of the fleet I need to talk about is the V70, which is the one that obviously isn't here. Now, that is currently over with Jim McGill. He's been using it over the winter whilst they've been sorting out the 500L. We have had a few little problems with it. Good news is the gearbox is working okay, so that's great news. However, unfortunately, the back box disintegrated on it the other day, as you'll hear in this clip. Sean very kindly did a bit of temporary repair work on the back box and has managed to bring it down so it's much quieter.
That's a bit better, isn't it? There's still a tiny blow coming from the top of the exhaust. I'm going to see if I can get some better putty and just put a little covering of it. I think it's quite porous, the very top of the back box. But yeah, that's definitely way better.
Thankfully, but yeah, I know it's been, other than that, it's sort of been soldering on quite nicely, and it's been out in some really quite bad road conditions as well in terms of weather and snow and bits and pieces. So yeah, that car is still doing well, and hopefully at some point it will come back to the channel, because I've got quite a few other little projects that and jobs that I want to do on that, which I'll talk about later on. So yeah, still got the V70, but it's just out on loan at the moment. And then, of course, finally, in terms of vehicles on my fleet, we need to talk about VEP. VEP is currently sawn and is tucked away in my garage, my very small, quite messy garage, unfortunately, at the moment. And will be tucked away until the spring, certainly until we know that there's not going to be any more salt on the roads or anything like that. There is quite a bit to do to VEP, if I'm honest with you, not least the fact that VEP has quite a crinkly bottom. This entire panel that sort of sits behind the boot lid is not looking great, and I've got a few areas of rust which are developing and I'm going to have to tackle. I do have 2 spare doors to go on there at some point, which I do need to get sorted out. I've also got, stacked up there in the bags, excuse the mess, a set of wheels that are going to go on hopefully as well. Kind of like the original, or close to the original 16 TRS diamond cut style wheels, though I obviously do need to get them sort of redone and remachined. But in terms of other jobs for VEP, before the spring I plan to get the rear wiper working, because that doesn't work at all. I'd like to do the relay update on the headlights so that I don't burn out that switch that's in there. And I also need to fix a leak, which I've caused myself, to be honest with you, from the differential. So I refilled and drained the gearbox oil in this, which I did shoot a video on, and I probably really should sort of go away and try and edit up. But unfortunately, I didn't replace the crush washer. So I've just got a tiny dribble of gearbox oil, which I need to sort out. Other than that, it is mainly going to be service and cosmetic items, I think. I would like to do all the plugs and go through everything in a bit more detail in the new year. And I need to try and figure out what I'm going to do with the Octopus, because I have got one of the return legs. It's got a temporary repair on it. Basically, I had a big split last year, and it's still dribbling a little bit of LHM on occasion. Not that unusual for a BX, but I do need to do something about it at some point. So there'll be plenty to do with VEP, I think, over the next, certainly over the winter, to keep me busy. Speaking of future videos and projects, by the way, one video I will do is I'm going to do a video about VEP in a bit more detail, because I covered quite a lot on the run up to Rustival, and then various things happened with this car that I either only filmed short clips about or didn't really do a great deal of at all. And I'd like to kind of bring the story up to date and give you all an idea what the ups and downs have been, no pun intended, of owning this car for a year, because it's certainly been mixed. It would be fair to say. This was a bit of a halo car for me, and I hadn't quite got my head around 1980s levels of engineering and refinement. That's not to say I don't love this car, but there's elements of it that are brilliant, and there are elements of it that are frankly crap. So I'll use that video to kind of talk you through some of the things that I think are fantastic about this car, and some of these things that, to be honest with you, I think are dreadful. I would be curious at some point, incidentally, to drive a Mark II BX, because I've never driven a Mark II other than, I think, very fleetingly my dad's BX16 valve. And I would be curious to see what the differences are like between the two. But yeah, like I say, there'll be a more detailed, in-depth living with the BX for a year video coming soon to the channel. Yeah, so one thing I've got to be honest about with VEP, and it does pain me a little bit to say this, is because I had a few problems last year, and they're all the sort of things, by the way, that you would thoroughly expect to have from a car like this. I did kind of fall out of love a little bit with VEP. It's something that both Jim and Sean very much noticed, and I feel quite bad for saying that as well. But it got to the point where I was definitely spending far more time fixing this car than actually driving it. We had problems with hydraulics, we had problems with wheel bearings. Oh God, the wheel bearing fiasco was an absolute nightmare. You know you're in serious trouble when the Citroen specialist that you've gone to rings you for advice on what wheel bearings to fit to your own car. That's all I'll say about that. So yeah, I think I definitely got in a rut with it, and I reached the point, I think it was post Festival of the Unexceptional, where it was, like I say, eating its wheel bearing, where I kind of just gave up and put it away. So one of the goals, certainly for this year, once I get it back on the road and get it, it does qualify for free road tax this year, so that'll be handy. But I want to make sure that if I've got a good dry day, that this is the vehicle I use rather than defaulting to one of the dailies, because when you drive this car, although as I hinted to earlier, some aspects of it are very, very annoying, but when you drive this car, it definitely is, I think Kitch described it as a bit of a tonic. It does warm to you, but what I've had most of towards the latter part of the year was just dealing with headaches, and that hasn't been as much fun. So yeah, I wouldn't say I've completely fallen out of love with it, but I need to sort of re-engage with VEP and try and enjoy it a little bit more. So there you go, that's pretty much where we are in terms of state of the fleet itself. In terms of upcoming videos on the channel in the first part of 2025, you're going to see quite a bit of archival stuff. And by that I mean videos that I shot last year, or even in some cases the year before, where I've done projects and I haven't got around to editing them. One of the things I'm going to do for January is I'm going to pop out some show coverage. So I think the first two that are coming out are going to be Fiat's and Friends, and also my coverage from Festival of the Unexceptional, because obviously in January we're probably all feeling a little bit of the car show blues. We're not really getting out anywhere, getting to see stuff, and I thought it would kind of be nice to hold those back. Those two videos will be of what I refer to as my silent show coverage style. That's basically where I just swan around with a GoPro, don't say anything, and if you're one of those people who has a disposition to enjoy listening to sights, sounds and little snippets of conversation going on in the background, you know who you are, then hopefully you'll enjoy those. And like I say, because they're sort of a more brighter, sunnier type of video, I thought it'd be nice to put them out in January, and maybe I'll probably drop the Festival of the Unexceptional video on Blue Monday, as it's referred to, just so that you've got something to go back and enjoy. I did record a talking commentary of the Citroën Car Club rally this year. I keep going back to it and seeing if I can in some way make it workable, because I struggled a bit with my commentary that day. But if I can get that video together in a way that's in any way tolerable, i.e. I don't cringe through the entire process of editing it, then I will pop that one out as well. So that might be one that appears. Outside of that, there's quite a few videos about the V70 coming out. I've got a video about sorting out the gearbox and managing to salvage that, a video about replacing the rear brake calipers, a video about restoring the headlights back to a sort of serviceable condition. I'm trying to think now if there's anything else. If there is, I'll stick a thumbnail up for it now. I'm trying to think if oh yes, there is. I replaced an ignition coil on it. That's where my surprisingly popular short has come from. I really didn't want to do that. So yeah, using the top scan to investigate a misfire and then replace one of the coils. So those are a couple of videos I've got queued up. In terms of the XC90, the only video that's queued up at the moment is the replacement of the headlights from left-hand drive to right-hand drive. And then, like I say, depending on what I do with those suspension arms, obviously if I do the job myself, I will film the process of doing it, but if not, it might just be a sort of a second MOT video where we see whether or not it standing for a couple of months has caused any other problems to appear. But like I say, fingers crossed, we'll get those out. In terms of VEP videos, I want to do that year of living with a BX video. I recorded the process of me originally changing the gearbox oil in it, mainly because I couldn't find another video where somebody had done it with the BE1 gearbox. But that was all shot on my phone, so it is a little bit shonky, but I might still see if I can edit that together and put that out for you. And then sort of more widely in terms of future content for 2025, like I say, those videos I've got that are archival will continue to come out probably up to February. The reason for that being is I have a completely unfinished living room, which I desperately need to work on over the next 2 months. So ideally, the less tinkering videos and messing around with cars I'm doing, the better. But after that, in the sort of springtime, I think the first show report I will do will most likely be the NEC Classic Restoration Show. Might wind up going there with the group this year, don't know. We'll keep an eye on that. And one of the other videos I'm hoping to record with Sean is we're hoping to do a Mark 1 BX versus early Vauxhall Cavalier test, which when we mentioned originally on both the platform formerly known as Twitter and Blue Sky, people seem quite keen on. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to bring that to you as well in the new year. The last thing I've got to consider at the moment is whether or not it's worth me thinning my fleet down, because at the moment I currently own 4 cars, which for somebody who hardly goes anywhere and works from home is vaguely ridiculous. So it could well be that I wind up getting down to just this and a daily, I think, at the moment. We'll have to see. A lot of it is going to come down to how much I like, I think, the £500 XC90 once I get it rolling, because I have considered sort of combining those two into one, if you like, if I really get on with the XC90 and having maybe one of the last of the XC90s on like a 12 or a 13 plate as a daily, and then just this for all my classic stuff. But yeah, having the V70, the XC90 and the XC60, I have got a lot of overlap in terms of cars that all do the same sort of thing at the moment. So I do need to think about that. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. Apologies for the slightly frightening Halloween lighting. That is something else I need to work on, really. Please do consider subscribing before you go. I recently hit 1,300 subscribers and passed the 1,000 mark last year, which was quite a big milestone for me. So thank you for everybody who's subscribed to the channel. I do read all the comments, good and bad. And I certainly have taken on, or hopefully you will see me taking on board comments about editing and reducing the length of things, now thoroughly knowing that this video is probably going to be far longer than it needs to be. But anyway, that's enough of me going on. Thank you very much for watching. Please do consider subscribing before you go if you haven't done so already. And I will see you in a future one. Cheerio. Now I'm going to go inside because even sat in Vep, it's absolutely freezing.